and Abga and all of that. Tonight, we'll explain all of these. I'm being joined by former lawmaker and the public affairs analyst, Honorable Tosun joins us live here on the program to add voice to this conversation. Thanks so much for making time to be here tonight on the program.
Thanks for having me on this big talk. It is really a big talk.
Thank you so much, Honorable. There are a whole lot of development. I know the last time you came here, we were talking of the state of the nations, the economy, and how far things are working. But let's go political tonight. There are issues in PDP. And you go to Labour Party, there are crises. It looks just recently, NMPP, Kwankwaso political movement, and that of Governor Abba Yusuf is a problem. And those that are questioning that what are the driving force of all of these crises? What is the problem with the major political parties? What can you see that is fueling this crisis?
It's a major tragedy about to happen to our country. We cannot pronounce plural democracy, and then those who should be the watchdog of the ruling party are becoming so decapitated that it is no longer possible because the falcon cannot hear the falconer. It is something that has to be checked. And recently I heard the last presidential candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, warning that at the spate of crisis in the opposition parties was going to lead Nigeria to a one-party state. I have led an organization that resisted a one-party state under Yar'Adua as president in 2007. There was a call for government of national unity. Those who don't recall will remember that on the 2nd of July of 2007, there was what they call the Night of Glamour in Lagos to hand over power from Tinubu, who was then the only ACN and opposition governor to Fashola, who was taking over from him. And we celebrated what we call the Night of Glamour. In that Night of Glamour, many people had positioned themselves to take what the carrot that then Yar'Adua, his intention was very good, to say, look, we've won the elections. The election was not clean. That means I won by some magic. But for us to include everybody, we needed to have a government of national unity. Good intention, bad execution. And we came to Lagos, and when they now said we have a NEC meeting in Abuja on the 5th of July 2007, I was the National Secretary of the ACN Chairman's Forum, which is today G37. And we came to Abuja at Amso Hotel. President Tinubu, then as leader of ACN, Bisi Akonde, the late Alexis Anielo, former National Secretary of SDP, was chairman of ACD. And in all this, my pronouncement, which is what I'm driving to, is not the history of how we came here, but how we resisted the one-party state as opposition. I told them that the government of national unity was a recipe for one-party state. That once you get people from the opposition into the new government, everybody will be swallowed within the milieu. So what we are going to have is a concentric government and no longer a democracy. And so we will not accept it. And we voted. Oshomole at that time was waiting for his verdict at the Court of Appeal. Then governorship matters were stopping at the Court of Appeal. He was waiting for it. He was in that place. He supported my motion. All the state chairmen, 27 of us who were in attendance out of 36, voted against government of national unity. The AMPP that was not being invited quickly accepted it. You know the story of how AMPP ended. And that was what President Buhari, then presidential candidate of AMPP, moved away to form the CPC. Because the then national chairman proceeded to accept certain positions. Today, I'm telling this background history for Nigerians to note that we cannot ask for democracy and begin to look for a one-party state by another means. So the opposition parties, by their own refusal to obey their own rules and their own constitutions, are decapitating themselves, decimating themselves, and making themselves sufficiently vulnerable, too weak to contest an election. I will not be part of that because I participated in the 1993 uprisings, anti-democracy movement of the military. I will not sit in 2024. At the time, I was in my 30s. I was in my 20s, as a matter of fact. I'm getting to be 60. That means by next year, I'll be a senior citizen. So I will not accept in the evening what I rejected in the morning of my life. So
it's very
today,
important.
it's very critical that, yes, APC would like to have and continue to win.
Does it look that this is coming from APC?
It cannot be, because this president sitting today was part of those who resisted.
So he's a Democrat.
One party. He's a Democrat to the core, fought for it.
But from all indications we are having, we've seen crisis fueling at Labour. And it's the leadership issue that those that feel the judiciary have also been dragged to this. That issues of party should be resolved within the party, other than going to court. That the Supreme Court will have a law and judgment by the Supreme Court that says that, allow the political parties to manage their own affairs. But those that feel that the judiciary have also been dragged into this, away from the accusation over APC trying to also take advantage of being the ruling party to cause some crisis within the major political parties.
Let me warn you. Warn Nigerians. The constant bashing of the judiciary is going to subjugate it to the vagaries of political hanky-panky. Continuously haranguing, harassing, intimidating, and making the judiciary feel that it is inferior to other arms of government clearly will make our country become a state of anarchy. Get into a state of anarchy. The reason is simple. When they say the judiciary is the last hope of the common man, the reason is because in all that you do as political actors, the policies of the judiciary is distinct from the policies of the bureaucracy. It is different from the politics of the partisan politicians. You must distinguish that. There's politics even in the pulpit. Where did politics start from? Is it not from the church? The church was then the spiritual head. Today, the biggest democracies you call are monarchies, like Britain. The prime minister can be sacked. The prime minister, the government of Britain can be called by a monarch who was never voted by the British people. And they're telling us about democracy. Nigeria, America, Canada, Germany are respecting China. They are respecting North Korea. Do they elect their leaders? So democracy is defined by the culture and history of the people, never by what is defined by any other country. Where we are today is such that Nigeria must accept that the judiciary is the only anchor. So with all of the judgment we are having, with some of the intervention, there are those that feel like recently PDP are having a crisis over the chairmanship. That those that feel that they might go run to court to get an order to stop the NWC from, suspending him as the chairman of the party. That those that feel that is a party affairs. Why run to court? Some of these things are where the people now feel and resort that judiciary looks at it's just been, cajoled into all of this political. Let me tell you this. Where I was going to where you interrupted was to make you know that if you proceed along those lines and say it is an affair of the party, it degenerates into anarchy. What that means, which is what you call Operation Wete in 1964 in Western region, is that in the interest of the party, we want this man, we don't want that one. And the two factions clash, and there is a bloodbath. I was warning about the rivers of blood in Port Harcourt. If what is happening in Port Harcourt is not stemmed by the president and others, the political actors must act. We are not playing chemistry or economics or astronomy. We are dealing with political facts, which is partisan. That means people must take sides. Where the majority take sides and they are wrong, the minority that are saying the right thing are going to be put down. That is where the judiciary can say, you made this law to say, for you to remove a chairman, this is the procedure. Obey that procedure you set. That's where the judiciary is reminding you and bring you back by your own rules, by your own laws, by your own constitution, which must not supersede the Nigerian constitution. Again, remember, that whatever any constitution of any political party states, it must obey the Nigerian constitution. So where it is going to degenerate to making Nigeria to know no peace, to make Nigeria go into war, to make a part of Nigeria. That is why the constitution provides that the president of Nigeria can declare a state of emergency in any part of the country that has no peace. That is where we are driving to, and that's why the court are intervening to insist, go back to your own laws. We are not saying by the laws of the court, by your own laws. This is what you said. What they are seeking is, what the people like Damagum and others are saying, look at Abure, the Abure case and all that. They are saying, court, look at what our constitution says, because those who made the constitution were victims of internal democracy. Where politicians, where actors cannot even obey their own rules. They set it in black and white, documented. And we're saying, this is what you said. Why are you going out of it? And then the court now reminds you, go to your own law. By your own law, this is what the rule is. So why are you blaming the court for reminding you? Is it the man who is reminding you, or you that is offending your own laws?
Does it look that people are receiving the reminder as with mixed feelings? That's the reason why
precisely
the judgment.
The person who reminds you is not the offender. It's you who offended the law. What is that? What the judiciary is standing and is independent.
And if people run to court, when we look at people that said are taking facts to the court, the owners of the party sometimes have, when I say the owners of the party, like the organs of the party also holds diverse opinions about who is taken to court. Just like issues of NLC, issues of a Labour Party, we've seen the governor, who probably is kind of being the leader of the party, members of the Assembly, who are still stakeholders and organ of the party, met in Abia State to say, Abure, we do not want you. We've also seen NLC, being the father organ of the Labour Party, also said, Abure, please vacate office. But Abure seems to still hold on to that. Would that kind of not undermine, the internal democracy we were talking of?
Because they did not, because in the constitution of every political party that I know in Nigeria, I have been state chairman, I've been a member of NEC, of CDC, that is National Convention Party. I have been a member of Action Congress. I've been a member of Action Congress of Nigeria. I have been a NEC member of APC. So I know the constitution of each party, because what I do is to constantly challenge their own party constitution. But what I'm telling you now today is that what the courts are saying is that there is a procedure for removing. No national chairman cannot be removed. None. You use the procedure you set out. For example, Article 29 of the APC Constitution lays out the offenses that you can commit that can lead to certain sanctions or certain punishments. Article 21 lists out the procedure for dishing out those punishments. If you go out of those procedures, for example, in Cross River today, a state house member was suspended. And then the chapter chairman says, what chairman, you cannot do that.
From the party?
Yes. And the state chairman is writing a letter on his own, out of his own emotion, on personal relationship, to say you cannot. The procedure is there that once you offend a part of the constitution, an organ can discipline you. If you are not satisfied, this is the appeal procedure. But you cannot jump up as state chairman or national chairman and say, what chairman, you cannot do that. Otherwise, people like Adams Oshomole, you remember the Ganduje case just recently, in APC, a ruling party with a president, to show you how strong APC is. And that's why its institutions and the respect for it. That's why APC is distinct from others. When the watch chairman did that, the president said nothing, because he knows the procedure. He was part of the formation of that party. He was the leader of that party from AC to ACN. So he knows that he cannot even interfere, that the watch chairman holds sway. Follow the procedure and vacate whatever decisions he has taken. As long as you don't do that, this president that I know will not do it. So when parties are getting into that, you say he's the one getting it. He must be an octopus to have his hand on every political party to be able to destroy it. You are giving him too many powers that he doesn't possess. And as a Democrat, I know of a fact that this president will prefer to have an opposition so that the winning will be satisfactory to Nigerians, so it doesn't come to regret that I won because I had no opposition.
So it doesn't look like the presidency is not afraid of some factors for 2027, because by all indication where people feel that it looks that government APC wants to do some state capturing. They have also alleged that, and that's in Edo State, and they're also alleging that fear ahead of Ondo State elections. It looks like this government wants to do some state capturing. That with where we go and the crisis looming within the party, it looks that APC are resorting to, capturing some state and capturing some parties.
Like I said, the credentials speak for themselves for every person that you find as the original founder of APC. From AD to AC, to ACN, to APC. Look at the person. Since you want me to give you a chronology and a taxonomy of the characters that form APC, don't mind the latter-day saints who joined APC. The original founders, find out from them. Each time they move, they are moving with a team. It is like organic molecules in a laboratory, in a chemistry laboratory. They are organic. You cannot separate them. You can't take them away from democracy and free speech and everything that you can find. And these are solid Democrats who have a background that you can check upon and fact check them. They have a pedigree. You are not going to guess or second guess them. It is a fact stated and cast in marble. So what I'm telling you now is that President Tinubu, APC for that matter, has no reason to capture anybody. They willingly bring you in. For instance, part of the quarrel you have in APC, quietly, is that those who told us that President Tinubu is not competent are the ones now sitting as cabinet members in this government, to show you the kind of heart the man has. He tells us in private, when we meet with him, when we have about to, in the formative days and when we were in the opposition, he said it's better for have a strong man who is against you to deliver than to have your man who can't deliver. Your loyalists who can't deliver, than to, rather to bring your opponent who can deliver than to bring your loyalists who can't deliver. That the whole aim is to achieve and to succeed. And whoever you can use to succeed, use him. So that is why he can bring his opponents into government, as you have seen now. But you can see some of them are insistent that they must prove that Tinubu is incompetent. So they are demonstrating so much incompetence, and that's why we are demanding that some of them must be laid off, so that they bring those who believe in the vision and mission of APC and of Democrats and progressives in Nigeria. Now, about these other ones, you should know that Labour Party had an accidental leadership. PDP was a fading octopus. And of course,
a party that ruled Nigeria for 16
years was waiting to collapse.
And I feel that
it was a moving corpse.
They are more democratic than any other party. That they lose election and accept it willingly, that probably any other political party wouldn't have done the same.
God in the affairs of men intervenes using men. The human element, that's why I'm a humanist. The human element in man's affair, God no longer can come and interface with man. He must use man to interface with man. So a Jonathan must emerge to give us the kind of democracy we require.
Are we still having that kind of democracy today?
We are having it even better improved.
Those that feels the 2023 election was not in any way deepening a democracy.
Once you lose, the judiciary is the culprit, INEC is the culprit. When we win Labour Party in Abia State, and you find the governor of Abia State sitting as Labour Party governorship candidate, INEC is the best. When you go to tribunal and win in Zamfara, tribunal and the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. When you lose in Kano, the judiciary and INEC must go and die. So at all times, we must be less emotional, more nationalistic, more patriotic, and more Nigerian than being personal, individualistic, and selfish, and stingy to the extent that if we don't win or don't get our person winning, Nigeria must go down. Nigeria is an asshole. Nigeria is a shithole. But once you win, Nigeria is the best place to be. Some of us have been here. Go and check my records. I have not left this country in the last 10 years. When I go out, I stay the maximum 1 week. Once it is beyond 1 week, I leave and come back here because I believe that this is the best place to be, and this is the best place God has created on earth. And today, you saw people leaving South Africa and Tunisia to stay in Nigeria. Nobody is making it news headline. But once one small eatery leaves Nigeria, Mr. Biggs, it is that businesses are deserting Nigeria. Today.
So do you feel that things are working? Because those that feels, if we are what we have it today, other political parties would have done better. That those even arguing that the subsidy removal and the management of the aftermath of this, the APC is not really managing well. So major political parties are having a concern on this hardship. And that's the reason people are feeling that they ought to be together so as also critically and constructively engage this
I thought that any patriot will be giving the way forward, giving alternatives to what we are doing. What you are getting is condemnation. That is cynicism. When condemnation and criticism does not bring solutions, it is cynicism.
So if Atiku is criticizing this government, you feel
he should give us solutions.
He doesn't have the capacity to do the job?
He should tell us. Because when he comes in now, because after 8 years, Tinubu will leave. Somebody else must come here. We are saying, tell us what to do so that when you come in, you can inherit the good things you have advised us to do. That is what a patriot does.
But he just wants Nigerians to survive now because that's really most of
that's what I'm saying. That what we do now, that is what a patriot should be doing. And not to tell us we are suffering. We know we are suffering now. Can anybody, has the president not told you that we know we are suffering?
The president asked for the job, and
he says to you, bring on table what we can do to improve. I am doing what I know is my best. But if my best is not enough, give me your solutions, suggestions. Okonjo-Iweala has told us, she keeps giving advice because she's not political, not partisan. She keeps giving us advice.
Are they taking that?
They are. They are. That is why most of what is happening is happening.
What of Peter? Peter Obi is giving advice.
No, Peter Obi.
Are people listening to him?
No, Peter Obi is campaigning. He is not giving any advice. He's campaigning.
But he said he's not interested about being a president, but he only wants to see
the
the country.
So what advice did he give?
He's saying that he wants the country to work.
He's saying
the country should move from consumption to production. That's the argument.
Those arguments, those mantras.
But is it not valid?
No, they are not. To the extent that he has to show how. It is not enough to anybody can mount any Marxist theory. What is the solution? Tell Mr. President, look, I want to take over from you after your 8 years, but please, as a younger person, I will take over from you as your younger brother. This is what you should do now so I don't come and inherit a collapse or failed state. This is what you should do. This is the he should show it even by the examples he set in Anambra for 8 years.
He has shown that.
How? What factories do you have there?
He has reduced cost of governance when it was Anambra State government.
God. And what was it converted to?
That the presidency and this government are telling
it was converted to which factory now?
But they are not in any way leading by example. Cost of governance is still high. That's the factors he has
cost of governance reducing is to bring out and save money.
Yes.
Are you Silas Manners? All you want to show people is, I have 30 million in my account, and your children can't go to school. You have 30 million in your account. Is that the wise man's decision? Is that an economic policy that you want anybody to follow? I saved 2 billion. What did you do with the 2 billion? Where are the factories?
If what he had reserved in Anambra was well managed, probably
8 years, what did he manage it with?
They had improved the state of education. He also said that.
Please, the facts disprove him. We have gone to do that search, but let me tell you,
we'll not dwell on that. But let's look at the argument he is making in respect to production, because those are few. If we had removed subsidy, which he has subscribed to, I mean, every other major political parties in this country
agreed that
we should remove subsidy. But the management of it, the savings from the subsidy, where is it going to? What we are seeing from this government is that it has been distributed either through the state government by increasing their allocations and all of some of this intervention that is not reflective on ground.
Precisely now, you have come to the point I have made elsewhere in different, I have held several seminars and other conferences to make this point. We have a democracy that devolves on a federalism with subnationals called states, and the sub-nationals called local governments. And the federal government does not even exist without local government. In fact, I had advocated when I was lecturing as an academic that the tier called state is a waste pipe, that we should have straight local government and have regional controls over them. You have 6 geopolitical zones. Put a regional head to supervise what comes from the federal government that controls the police, the army, in short, call it the security, that controls the economy, and then deals with that. Nobody in China deals with rail. Nobody in Japan deals with the automobile. It is the government. Has American government started exploring oil in Florida? They don't. It is a national asset. Why do you call national asset in a capitalist state? Now, all that tells you that the state next to God is the state. The state holds the apparatus, and that is the federal government in this context. And because of our culture, we now say, devolve it. Let the local government and states take things to... There is nothing you are putting in this country, whether it's a borehole, an electric pole, or electric wire, or a primary school, or a secondary school, or a health center, that is not in the local government, where the people live. And that is why the present government now takes everything from subsidy to the states, rather than outside our state government. The federal government have shown you, this is what we have sent to you. Ask your state governor that, sir, what are you doing with this money? The CSOs, the civil society organizations, the so-called agitators and activists are not asking governors because they fear attack. Instead, they turn to the president, who has told you, I have given you your money to your state. If you are holding, remember, even under Buhari, under Obasanjo, the federal government, under Jonathan, for example, who said, we need $65 per barrel of oil for us to do everything in the country, and he got 115 instead of 65. He got 100. And Okonjo-Iweala says, please save some of this money as Commonwealth and use the 65 that you are looking for to do what you want to do. But do you know what happened? The state governors went to the Supreme Court to quote Section 62 of the Constitution that says that all monies accruing to the federal account should be shared to the state, and shared that money. Nobody in the states followed up. They want the president to go and ask the governor as if that is his prefect. The governors under our constitution own the states.
We'll come back to, when we're wrapping up on the convention, we'll come back to that issue of economy. But let's stay on the issues of highlighted. When you go to Kano State as we speak now, the party have suspended the secretary to the state government on the grounds that it looks like Kwankwaso, the governor, are still having some diverse opinions about who gives instructions and what. That those that are questioning Godfatherism in all of this, that it looks that in practice in Nigeria is not working. Speak about that in NNPP, which the leader of NNPP in Kano State ought to be the governor of the state, but in reference to who is the real leader in that context is that of Kwankwaso. The crisis is coming from that axis. That those that are pointing fingers, and it looks that the ruling party is also causing this crisis, the APC.
Now, when you put that, you are diverting attention. Because if the ruling party had won a case in the tribunal and was going for appeal, won in the appeal, and got to Supreme Court and lost, a sitting government, it couldn't bring its own government. Its own members won the election, felt they were cheated when NNPP was declared, went to tribunal, won the case, won the appeal, won, and when they got to the Supreme Court, the ruling government that is now going to scatter, or as you call it, disrupt the peace in Kano, couldn't just make one pronouncement to send them out. The same thing happening in Zamfara. Why will you be accusing the government? So when
I'm not accusing the government. It's what the people feel that is happening within.
No, I'm just trying to say, I'm not talking about you now. When I say you, I'm referring to those who are saying so in Kano. Not about you now. You're only reporting. You're a journalist. What I'm saying to you is that they are blaming the tools rather than the farmer. Now, the farmer is the president of Nigeria who has farmed democracy to Nigerians, who has fought for it and almost paid with his life. And if today he is now insisting that I won't interfere, each time APC loses in a state, he congratulates the winner. He's been doing that even from Buhari, who nobody believes could do that. So in Kano State, what you are finding there is that it was a strange bedfellows who came together to concoct what lies brought together. Truth will scatter. What lies brought together, truth will scatter. What I mean here is that it was a formation of strange bedfellows who came together for the sole purpose of dislodging APC. Now the truth is coming out that the purpose was not to serve the Kano people, but to serve personal interest for personal aggrandizement and gains, political, economic, and otherwise.
Does it not look like the people were happy about Kwankwaso, and that was the reason why they had to trust him with their vote by declaration of INEC and all of that?
You can see the margin of win in Kano was not the kind of thing that you are demonstrating. Please, if you can display it here, you will see the difference between the votes of Kwankwaso and the votes of APC in Kano. You remember that even the president lost Lagos State, and people are still saying it was rigged. So he rigged himself out of Lagos, rigged himself out of Kano, the two biggest, that you have 6 million and 5 million votes. 6 million and 5 million votes in Lagos State. Each president that has won elections before won the two states. And everybody believed that any person that can lose those two states will lose elections.
I'm asking that because that those that feel the Kwankwaso movement was strong based on the fact that he contested to be the president of this country, that it was a factor. And that probably should be the determinant.
The Kwankwaso movement, like the Peter Obi movement, was political masturbation. The Kwankwaso movement and the Labour Party movement that you call the Obedience were nothing but political masturbation. It was so temporal and ephemeral that it was going to evaporate with time like a raisin in the sun.
But it had gathered momentum never in the history of Nigerians politics.
It gathered momentary momentum, and that is why it cannot be sustained.
You feel if they do election today, and
they will lose plus their deposit. They will lose for their deposit as you can find.
You feel with the economy reality of buying 400,000 naira, that people will still have to queue behind. Even your members of your party will queue behind.
I warn you that what happened there was purely political masturbation. I repeat that because people imagined that they had seen the Messiah. What they saw was a dynamo, an anticlimactic political masturbation, completely deviant of any reality. It was a figment of imagination that evaporated within a short period. And under 1 year, the Obedient movement have been decapitated to the point where recognition is difficult, almost impossible. With even their own spokesman, Kenneth Okonkwo, my friend, telling you that he can no longer be deceived. That is to say, the scales are falling off their eyes. And each person that says so come back with a new story. But APC remains constant like a northern star. And that is why its structures and everywhere we are constant and continuously on the move, trying to emancipate Nigeria from the delusions of the past, in which at every turn we had emergency messiahs.
All right. So you feel the political independence sought by the governor of Kano State is not anything out of the context of control or motivation or push by the ruling party? One. Secondly, if it looks that the governor is still talking tough to still be a governor for once, because we've seen instances where some governors like that of Rivers State, which I had earlier spoken, said, allow me to be a governor, and I can't give my kidney to please anyone. We've seen that statement coming from the governor of Rivers State. Does it look that that's the same situation or scenario playing out? Mind you, in Rivers State, it looks that PDP and APC are together. On the grounds of the election, local government election, PDP and APC were protesting together. And those that feels it has never happened before. We have PDP and APC having to protest together. What is likely comparable in that of Kano politics?
Now let me tell you, what Kano is just trying to learn is trying to learn a bad example from Rivers State.
Was it a bad example?
God is a covenant-giving God. So when men go into covenant with the devil and turn around to want to seek the face of God, God will remind you to keep your covenant. They are biblical.
I do not feel that God is not involved in this the whole politics.
Precisely. So don't come into God when you now think that the devil is wanting to take his pound of flesh. The case of Kanu, like the case of Rivers State, is a case of the reward for ingratitude. You do not go and ask the devil to give you riches, and they ask you, what type of riches do you want? Say, anything that can make me have money and power. You say, what do you want in a marriage? You say, I want children. Is it women or men, female or male children? You say you want this. And the devil gives you a child, and it turns out to be a male. And you are celebrating how you have an inheritance. And then the first thing the child demands of you as a father, who went to the devil to seek him in the shrines, is that he must live with his mother. And he starts saying, God, what is this? Did you ask God when you were asking for that child? Did you even give God, Satan, any choice? You said any child. So he's given a child who is incestuous. Now, so also it is with those you call political godfathers. I want to make you governor. And he said, anything you want me to do. In fact, if you say I should stand up, I will jump. Sir, if you say I should kill my father, I'll kill plus my mother and bring you the head tomorrow morning. And the man gives you the governorship. You turn around and say, the man is demanding too much. At what point did we give conditions for you to be governor?
Do you feel there were conditions? Because it looks that what we are feeling is that it's just about giving an instruction or trying to make more appointment or trying to allow the governor to always come to your house to take decision. Because earlier this morning, I spoke with someone who said, in Kano said it looks that files can only be transmitted to one man's house before contract or whatever can be signed. It has gotten that bad. Is that demands? Because when you look at demands, the other demands we said political appointees and all of that, it is valid. You know, anyone can work. And if we must have that, should that go to the point of, you know, distorting governance?
Let me inform you now, in case you don't know. Partisan politics, like all things on earth, including monarchies, their preferences. I am not trying to justify godfatherism. What we don't understand is that all politics on earth is culture and history bound. Culture dictates a political culture. Culture dictates a political history of a people and their governance behavior. So, what do we call governance in Nigeria? You go and chop. Me too, I'll go and chop. Not go and walk. It is go and chop. So you have chopped. Let me also chop. It is never go and work and provide services. It is now, in 2024, 2023, that we are now seeing governance in which people are demanding that what are you going to bring to the community? What are you going to bring to us? So until we get down to the nitty-gritty, to the advancement of humanity, to the advancement of community against individuals, in which community comes first, because we are a communal people. The West is individualistic. We are communal. Until communality returns to us, Ubuntu, until we continue to do Ubuntu, you exist because I exist, I am because you are, until we get back to that African history in which we tell ourselves as Bantus, as Africans, as blacks who teach the world humanity and humanism, in which humaneness is our characteristic, runs in our blood, at our DNA. Until we do that, our politics will continue to be as dirty as they talk about it. In 1998, we were in Olufale's house. He was in London. But Pa Deschamps was the one who presided over that meeting. And what was the topic for discussion? How do we come together under the G34 to get military out of government? I represented Kosovo in that meeting. But what did we get? We asked ourselves, after chasing away the military, who are the people we are going to bring in? Nobody wanted to get him because nobody believed that the military could leave. After chasing out the military, those to come and contest, we saw charlatans, motor-packed touts coming in. They now solidified themselves and kept governance at the level where we are now. Where we are is now weeding out that class of 1998-99, those accidental leaders who were never chosen by the people, who have held sway for the past 20 years. We are going to our 25th year now. So the Tinubus have now come on and trying to bring back those who actually deserve, who have the heart and the mind to bring about our nationalism and restore to Nigeria the dignity Nigeria had immediately after independence.
All right, Honorable, we'll be back very shortly. Let's go on a quick break. The conversation about political parties in the country and how this can work, and with a good, fantastic, but we must deepen our internal democracy if we must get our democracy really, really working in the country. Character is one thing. Character in politics is also be questionable. Once we're back from that break, Honorable will speak on the character we need to advance the Nigeria's politics. Do stay with us on the program. We'll be right back. How many minutes are there? Crises are rocking and looming political parties, major political parties in the country. And just as we keep on having elections, preparations on the election is still at the highest and concern of everyone. We've also seen some of these crises, how far it can affect internal democracy, and in a way also translates to affecting governance in Nigeria. Honorable Cletus is still with us on the program. Thanks so much, Honorable, for still being here. In a bit to begin to wrap up the convention, let's track, when you look at the characters we have, that those that feel that, what we are having in the political scenes are questionable characters. When you look at the fact that some persons, when they are given opportunity in terms of the party leadership, has also take advantage of it, and sometimes not allowed internal democracy to be deepened within the party structure. What are your feeling about all of that?
Well, I want to make this point clear.
All right, Honorable, let's go on a break, and once we return from the break, Honorable will complete that conversation. Do stay with us. Many thanks for sister with us. We are still tracking to know the internal party democracy and how these probably may have an impact in our democracy journey. Major political parties in Nigeria having crisis, and it's still a major concern that those that are questioning character of politicians, when you look at party primaries, how it is being conducted, a concern on how, zonings and justice, fairness and equity are not what is binding political parties. Let's get Cletus, Honorable Cletus, still with us on the program to highlight some of this issue. Honorable, it's a major concern. Sometimes primaries are conducted in political parties, and it's not the will of the people that those that feels that much have not been done in that area.
I laugh because when you call primaries, it's. I had a Senate president, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and his colleagues when they came back from local government elections and said that they must amend the laws to suit our present mood and conditions.
Because they failed the election.
Not because they failed, but because they feel that being the last tier of government, that is local government, that people who live there and who operate there should be given a free hand and should be the people that the community wants. They should be community people, retired civil servants, young, vibrant men that the community trusts, youth leaders, retired soldiers, policemen. Those are the kind of people that should go back to, return to the community what they have. It's not for settlement and patronage or political loyalists and lackeys or lapdogs. It is a place where real business restores. We grew up meeting people who were local government chairmen and others who were local government contractors who survived by just doing local government contracts. Up to 1919, I was still in parliament. We saw local government chairmen getting their direct allocation and doing the kind of things they do. I know some states like Lagos. Projects that are done in Lagos by Lagos State chairmen, some state governments cannot do them. Today, not yesterday. What will the local government do in Lagos? The monies are taken directly to the local government right from the period of Tinubu as president, as a governor of Lagos State. Allocations go there. What they just do is put a supervisor. The local government, the governor is just a supervisor to insist on a weekly basis. You must tell me what you are doing with your allocation. On a weekly basis. What's your project? I want to see it in real time. So in that way, the local government chairman is on his toes. But what do we get now? People want to round trip local government allocations. They have become part of the excess crude to them. So accruements to local government become accruements to governors. The luck we have, especially in places like Cross River, Lagos, and also a few other places, is that those allocations go there and people question them and they get results. So character of political actors is very important. What is their pedigree? What is their past? You don't ask a man who has been a police DPO, a man who has been a general in the Nigerian army, a man who has been a permanent secretary, who are you and what have you done? Because you already know their history, you already know their past. So when you allow the people to take their leaders, their councillors, and their local government chairmen, clearly you will get results. What you are calling and asking that, what are you doing with crude oil? I mean, what do you call it, subsidy removal. The president has shown you, say, this is what I'm giving to your governor. Is it not our duty to ask the governor, what are you doing with it? Instead, we'll go back to the president and say, why are you not asking the governor? The governor is giving it on your behalf. Why are you not asking the governor? Why are you not asking the states? Why are you not asking the local government chairman?
But if people are still glamoring that, Mr. President, probably we can't see what the governors are doing, even if they are not going back to their state. Because some of the policies like subsidy removal was taken by the presidency. Floating of the Naira was taken by the federal government. It looks at Nigerians and say, these are the two major decisions that has put us in where we are today. It wasn't taken by the governors. It's not governors that took the decision. However, if you're sending this service to them, and we do not still find it impactful, why can't you just have another arrangement?
I've asked you this. You are going to create another tier of government, another layer of government, because you have the president and his ministers. You have federal house members and senators. You have state house assembly members. The government is so laid out that these allocations ought to be monitored, supervised, and executed in the communities in a manner that everybody is satisfied. Because people are shying away from citizen responsibility. In a democracy, citizen responsibility is key. Where are the activists? Why are the Yusufus busy shouting about who is an idiot and who is a normal person, rather than asking his local government chairman, asking, because the money has channels. With BVN now and Freedom of Information Bill, you can ask for any information and get it and act on it. Go to court with it. Demonstrate on it. Protest on it. What are we doing instead? We are just doing showmanship. That is not activism. What we are seeing is rascality parading as activism. Because we should give us results and let the people see what they are doing. So the president himself is an activist, like he said. And I'm telling some people now, if NNPC is not brought to book and they lead the protest on it, I, a frontline member of APC, who founded it and is part of it, will participate in that protest because NNPC, as the other federal republic in Nigeria, cannot be sustained and be getting crude oil that we don't know how much, and they are selling it and we don't know how much, and nothing is getting into the federation account. We must deal with that. So those issues have to be. So I like to see what I saw the Senate president and his team do in the National Assembly to insist that they must investigate at NNPC and bring Nigerians in a place where we can get price of oil right, and Dangote is protected and other refineries are brought on board. So that our price of oil goes down. One price of oil goes down in Nigeria, everything goes down.
All right, very lastly, Honorable. We've seen appointment by the presidency, appointed former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, into his cabinet. The PDP are feeling that we can't serve two masters. It looks that one cannot serve two masters at the same time. His loyalty to PDP is also having some concern that he's also loyal to APC. That's one. Talk about that and how the president can also go against, go behind the political parties, the ruling political parties, to hire people if they can do the job in other political parties. Is that workable? Would that also be aware of also, creating some of these crises in the political parties? Just before we wrap up, please.
President Tinubu has demonstrated his democratic credentials more than ever before in the appointment of Nyesom Wike. And Nyesom Wike, nobody living in Abuja who has come into Abuja will question the credentials and the reason behind appointing Wike. Nobody living in Abuja in the last 12 months, in the last 17 months, can question the credentials of Wike and his performance here. Rivers State, notwithstanding. The fact that you are now putting political expediency and loyalty above national loyalty. Is PDP outside Nigeria? Is PDP not aspiring to rule this Nigeria that will hold this? Are the roads that he is doing? Are the infrastructure?
He boasted that he made Tinubu won the election in Rivers State as a PDP member.
Well, if he failed in Rivers, we wouldn't have won the election. So that boast is political and personal to him, partisan to him. But we are saying, in reality, what we are seeing here now, is it PDP roads or APC roads that are being made in Abuja? Wike is doing Nigerian roads for Abuja to look like a capital. And nobody should deny that and put us under parochial, personal, narrow slots of interest that should override the national interest, which Tinubu seeks to overthrow by bringing somebody he knows is competent and whose competence
even when he's not in his political party
is now verifiable. If he's in his political party and making sure that there's no road in Abuja, will we be proud of him? So it's the work of PDP to ensure that Nigeria does not get a good road in Abuja.
Does it look that Mr. Wike wants to destroy PDP just to keep on servicing the loyalty to the presidency?
He's servicing the loyalty of Nigerians because the roads he's making are not APC roads. The roads he's making in Abuja, the infrastructure in Abuja are not PDP roads. Nobody is going to be barred from going there. So what Wike is doing is what Tinubu asked him to do for Nigerians, not for PDP or APC. The roads are not marked PDP or APC. They are Nigerian roads with Nigerians and foreigners and other interests. They are diplomats living in this capital. They are now seeing a different facelift. And I'm waiting for Wike to put on the security lights that Jonathan couldn't do and other such things. About the fact of making other party positions or other party members come to serve in APC in order to destroy the other political parties. I have made the point that Tinubu will not be, and I will not support the fact that they should make this place a one-party state, because even victory will no longer be good, and democracy, the role of democracy in our civilized world will no longer be useful. So we need a Wike, we need APC, we need opposition.
Honorable
Because that is the
Cletus.
lubricant of democracy. The
Honorable
back of
Cletus,
democracy is the plurality
You're
of
a Democrat.
opinion.
You're a Democrat, Honorable Cletus. Thanks so much for that contribution. And of course, that is very patriotic of you. He's a former lawmaker and a political commentator. Thanks so much for joining us on Big Talk tonight. We definitely appreciate it. And everyone, that's the size of tonight. A whole lot of concern in respect to politics. That we're still counting days to go for the elections. We are still keeping the tracks, the campaigns. I mean, I've already commenced. Political parties are having and taking their messages down to the wards, the villages of Hondo State in a bid to win the race. We'll get to know more and bring more interactions and stories subsequent on the conversation of Big Talk. My name is Edika Michael. Thanks so much for joining us. See you again.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bonds, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11